So I don't get to know the other side of the fence, right? And like Dayton fans, it was our night, man. Like you should have seen my Twitter feed. It was going off like we were playing a game.
I saw it, man. I saw.
It was great. And you did see that I was like anyone but the Knicks. So I'll call it the way it is. I did not want him to go to the Knicks, but you know, I'm trying to be as fair as I can. The reason I didn't want him going to the Knicks was because I thought that it had the highest probability of him not working out. But now that I've gotten under the hood a little bit, I can at least see where the Knicks are going, right? Like from the outside looking in, they're building a ton of young talent. They're getting rid of a lot of old guys. Like I'll give your listeners a funny story. So I did my radio show. I know I was supposed to be wrapping up, but whatever.
Listen, it's my podcast. I can wrap up when I want.
Yeah, exactly. So on my radio show last week, it was all OB draft talk because I have to put it out on Thursdays, and the draft was conveniently on Wednesday. So I was like, great, I just talk about the draft the whole time. So it was the first time that I had pulled up the Knicks roster. And
goodness, why would you do that?
Yeah, and I was like, and the first thing I was like, who is this? Nilla what? Kita? I was like, who is that? Like, who are these guys? Because there's always
our own announcer calls him Nicolina. Don't feel bad.
Oh my gosh. So I'm going through the roster and I'm like, all right. I said, there's a lot of young guys on this roster. Like, I get it. Sure. And then, of course, Thursday morning, we're recording this at like 10 o'clock in the morning and it's releasing at 6 o'clock at night. And I'm like, yeah, and you know what? I think having a veteran in the locker room like Taj Gibson will be so beneficial for Obi. It'd be a great guy to have and learn from. He's an all-effort guy, plays really hard. And then like I'm literally clicking send. I'm sending the file to the radio station. And I see on my Twitter like, Knicks released Taj Gibson. I'm like, son of a...
You should ask me about that beforehand. Although there is a small chance that he is brought back under a different contract.
There you go.
I will say that I'll say this. Obi's success, I think, is going to be pretty intimately tied to the Knicks' success this season, because the one thing that they do not have, which I've been talking about with Knicks fans for seemingly forever, but especially the last week, there's no engine on the offense. And it's tough to be an engine from the 4 spot in the league, but with a little creativity, and that's why I was asking about the ball, the playmaking, and he could handle the rock a little bit for that spot. Yeah. I'm excited to see what he could do. I'm excited to see what Tibbs does with him. And I think Knicks fans would like to see one more guard here, because they signed Austin Rivers, they re-signed Elfrid Payton, which got a lot of people upset. But I think here's one thing you could go with. There's a new regime in town. The clowns that were running the organization, they're gone, which is a good thing. They have a real front office now. They have a real coach. I think there is reason to be hopeful. I'll say that.
Yeah, and I will say this, like, if Knicks fans do want our perspective, like, don't kill me too bad on like my analysis of the Knicks, because like, I'm sorry guys, I don't watch that many Knicks games last year, but I
don't blame you.
Yeah, we did a segment. I'm gonna now, but we did a segment on my show last week called "Why It Will Work and Why It Won't Work," and I did the like why it won't work, and then my co-host, he said, "All right, here's the reasons why I think it's gonna work," and it definitely started and ended with Thibodeau being a defensive-minded coach, because we just talked about like that's his one weakness, right? Well, what better coach to be paired up with than the guy that's literally known for his defense, Yeah. So I'm hopeful from that regard, but I was just curious from the other side of the fence, like what people wanted out of the draft, I guess, because again, I say this like, I see what the Knicks are doing. They're trying to get lean on the financial side. They're trying to bring in a lot of guys between like 19 and 25. And then this year's a wash, get one more draft pick, and then go out and hopefully, spend a ton of money in free agency to bring in a couple stars. Like, I get that approach. So, like I said, my question is that how you guys see it? Like, is Obi one of the pieces to that puzzle?
I think how it's seen here is we've had a little bit too much experience with looking ahead, and for smart Knicks fans at least, right now is a time to be like, let's take care of our business this year. Let's not look like a clown show, and let's they're going to be bad, but let's look competent and bad. Yeah, and that's really what the MO is, which is why I think some of the signings they made in the last couple of days, as they've also made a trade, are encouraging, because these are like, Austin Rivers and like Nerlens Noel and Alec Burks are not getting anybody excited, but these
contributors.
They're competent basketball players, right? And they're not going to soak up usage from where it should be, which is Obi Toppin, RJ Barrett, and the like. In terms of what Knicks fans wanted from the draft, I think a lot of them were hoping for one of the guards, either Killian Hayes or Kyra Lewis. Sure. I personally would have been fascinated to see what the Knicks would have done if Hayes had been there. I think they would have taken Toppin anyway. I think Knicks Twitter would have been a lot more upset. We're like you guys. I had come around on Obi because I'm like, shit, I should not look a gift horse in the mouth. This guy is the best offensive player in the draft. Maybe we take him and worry about the defense later.
Not even that. He's going to be exciting. Like, are you ready to get back to that? Like, just having somebody that's like marketable.
It's because the last 2 years, it's basically been Mitchell Robinson, who's their center. And I actually am really, really high on how those two are going to work together on both ends of the floor. Yeah. I think they like Knicks fans are like you guys. You guys are starting to talk yourselves into the Knicks. Knicks fans are starting to talk themselves into Obi Toppin. I think it's a match made in heaven.
Yeah, I think you might as well, man. It's like you got your guy now, and like I said, the pieces are starting to come together, I think. But I will say this, like when you get your guy in the first round, when you have a top 10 pick, you want a guy that's marketable. It's going to put some butts in the seats. And I will tell you, like, I don't know what's going to happen with his NBA career, but I'll tell you right now, he's probably going to slam some balls right through the floor. Like he's going to cram some jams on Madison Square Garden. So, at least from that perspective, you can be excited because if you're going to lose, you might as well have some fun doing it. And I think he gives you the best opportunity this coming season. And like you said, he'll get all the minutes he needs so that Knicks fans know what they have to.
Listen, man, I don't need to see the Rookie of the Year odds. I am putting a couple C notes on Mr. Toppin when they come out. I'm excited. Listen, I gotta have something to root for here.